call the meeting to order. Any items from the public? If not, okay. Can I have a motion to approve the agenda if there's no modifications or changes?
Yes, sir, Mr. President. Motion to approve the agenda for June 22nd, 2023.
Have a motion to have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Like sign opposed. Consent agenda. Purchase order log. No purchase order this week. None?
For the next 2 weeks, we're closing out the current fiscal year, and then July 1st, you'll have the general ledger for the new one starting.
Alrighty. We do have 3 internal budget revisions. Mr. Davis?
Yes, sir, we continue to clean up various accounts. As you know, last week was the last state budget revision that we could submit to the state. We did get that in a timely manner. Now we're just cleaning up some of the internal budgets. So you have 3 internal budget revision requests before you this morning. The first 2 are from Tim Zaya. The first is from Department 731, the Day Report Center. Mr. Zaya is requesting that he be allowed to decrease line 230 contracted services by $1,500. Current unencumbered fund balance is $74,282.10 with 61.7% spent to date. It increased travel line 214 by $1,500. That account currently has a deficit balance of $1,163.63. The next request from Mr. Sy is for Department 802, which is our Recovery Resources Department. Mr. Sy is requesting that he be allowed to decrease line 341 supplies and materials by $200. Current unencumbered fund balance is $7,462.91 with 78.7% spent to date. An increased line 223 professional services by $200. That account currently has an unencumbered fund balance, deficit balance of $85. The final request is from the Honorable County Clerk, Tony Petrucci, at Department 413, which is voters registration. Clerk Petrucci is requesting that he be allowed to decrease line 212 printing by $6,606.
$666.
666. Yeah, I felt that was kind of unusual, but $666.
You want to try that again?
No, I don't. Current unencumbered fund balance is $841 with 16% spent to date. And increased line 341 supplies and materials by $666. That account currently has a deficit balance of $158.12.
He's a short timer. It's okay.
Yeah, you know.
Alrighty. Change in status. Received from law enforcement, step increases.
There's no action that needs to be taken by the council. As you know, a couple years ago, we requested that the Sheriff's Department begin sending us a spreadsheet with not only the longevity increases that are programmed, but also the steps increases so that we can kind of bump those up against the budget to make sure that salaries are adequately funded. So there's no action that's requested. It's just more for informational purposes that we use internally, but we did want to put that in your package.
Sure. Okay, new hire recommendation received from the Honorable Sheriff Nathan Harmon for Rebecca Boswell as a tax deputy with the annual salary of $33,972 effective June 23rd, 2023. New hire recommendation received from Jennifer Swisher, Emergency Communications Director, for the following effective July the 17th, 2023. Justin Alexander as a telecommunicator 1 with an annual salary of $50,341. Ashley Grimes as a trainee with an annual salary of $46,356. Change in status received from Jennifer Swisher, Emergency Communications Director, for the following shift supervisors who are certified center supervisors effective June 16th, 2023. Carolyn Smith, her salary will go from $63,061 to $63,561. Chastity Lovelace, her salary will go from $56,001 to $56,501. April Hedrick, Her salary will go from $60,024 to $60,524. Letter of resignation received from Court Security for Rodney Krebs, effective July 7th, 2023. And we have the approval of the minutes. Everyone was present, and the council calendars. We are here today on the 22nd. Let's see here, for boarding commission calendars. Ambulance Authority this evening here in the chambers, I think, on Monday. 4 p.m. Historic Landmarks, 4 p.m. Eastern Panhandle Transit Authority, 5 p.m. Water District. Nothing on the 27th, the 28th at 10 a.m. CVB, 3 p.m. Senior Services, and on the 29th the Library Board. Any additions or corrections to that?
There's also a special meeting for the Roundhouse on the 28th.
On the 20, okay, on Wednesday the 28th?
Mhm.
Okay,
There was no meeting on the 14th.
on the 14th, all right. And then the boarding commission calendar for July. The offices, of course, will be closed on Tuesday the 4th. And we'll meet up again with that after next week. Let's see, boarding commission calendar, we did that. I had a stop payment request check for county clerk's finance office. Did we see that? Yep, okay. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda? If there's any other comments, we'll get them here.
So moved.
Have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Any other further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Like sign opposed, motion carries. Nothing from the assessor this week. How about boarding meeting reports?
It was a Main Street meeting on Monday. Talked about a few things. There were a couple requests for USDA loans. There's a program Main Street's working with different downtown businesses. 2 businesses had applied and were declined due to not meeting the criteria of the I guess, means of what you need to qualify. There's another application in by the Aspen Hall. We're going to do a vote digitally on that one. There is coming up a Hispanic Heritage event, September 15th, 2023, downtown Martinsburg. They've asked for Main Street's assistance. It's not a Main Street event, but a private event similar to the Pride event that happened last weekend. Many of these organizations close the downtown for their events and ask for Main Street's assistance in advertisements and different things like that. Talked about starting a Main Street Martinsburg Youth Board for next year. Get youth input on things that Main Street could do. And then, this Friday, the summer concert series will be held at the Roundhouse, not at the Square. We're starting to partner a little more between Main Street and the Roundhouse as things advance down there. I think they're calling for some weather, so it allows them to be indoors and still continue and have the concert series when there's bad weather. So that will be something moving as a partnership in the future. They'll be setting up in the Frog Shop and doing on the big stage there, doing the concerts indoors when there's going to be bad weather. Also, the farmers market that's started this year down at the Roundhouse in conjunction with Main Street. Attendance is up this year versus last year when it was up behind the church in the parking lot there. They also, canceled or sort of combined with the one on Winchester Avenue, so now everything's at one place. I talked with Robbie on the phone yesterday about some of the marketing strategies that can be done, and he's going to have this done by Saturday. It's getting some larger posters made that advertise at the senior location, Senior Towers, Ambrose Towers, the Housing Authority of Martinsburg, KD Court possibly, and let them know that the buses do go through there and can take those seniors, and they can use their market bucks to spend money to get farmers market stuff there and get a ride to and from. And I guess I was on the radio on Tuesday. Talked with those guys. The main topic was the 1 cent sales tax we're working on and possible home rule. And we discussed some of that and the uses and the possibility of well, I'll talk to Eddie later about the possibility of returning other funds in replacement of that. That was the what funds?
Stormwater.
Yeah, stormwater. So the possibility of if we were able to get the home rule, and it'd be county by county, that we would cover the stormwater and take away that bill to our citizens by having the 1 cent sales tax and basically in return for what you're paying in stormwater, you'd have the 1 cent sales tax, but the outside community traveling through would help cover that. Wouldn't all be on the citizens here of Berkeley County. So that was a good discussion. Jason Barrett was a co-host, so hopefully he took some notes and moved forward with some things in that. And this year's coming up. We talked about the rails to trails versus rails with trails. This year will be the third year we're trying to get that through. That will be big for the county as well. And that's all I'd have to report.
Okay, thank you, sir. Mr. Barnhart.
Thank you, Mr. President. I didn't have any meetings this week, but I want to emphasize on June 30th in downtown Berkeley Springs, West Virginia, we're having a meeting, Wandering West Virginia Waterways. It's supported by the LGAC, Local Government Advisory Committee to the Chesapeake Bay, and the Alliance for Chesapeake Bay to present to all the Eastern Panhandle. I mean Hardy, Mineral, and Grant, and Berkeley, Jefferson, all those counties, about stormwater prevention and that sort of stuff. And that'll be in downtown Berkeley Springs on June 30th.
Okay. Mr. Coconut.
Yes, sir. Parks and Rec met on Tuesday. Finances there remain strong. The hotel motel tax is up significantly compared to last year. This time it's up about, between the city and the county's hotel motel, up about 200,000. They're working on removing the spoils pile at DuPont Soccer Field to get that leveled out, and paving on that roadway should be completed by the end of July. Moving on to Lambert Pool, the Lambert Pool is still closed. They've got a significant leak somewhere. They don't know exactly where. They've run cameras as far as they can. Now they're waiting on, the other day they were waiting on Miss Utility to show up before they can dig down to see where they can cut into the pipe to get around where a possible blockage is or a break is. That pool's 50 years old, which it's just hard to imagine that the pool's 50 years old, but it is. And there's there needs to be a real healthy discussion really with the city, the park board, and I feel the community to decide on a direction forward. There's some possibility of discussion about a large spray park, which would accommodate anywhere from 250 to 300 children. So there's some different options there that they really need to look at it. Even if they get the pool up and running, they typically close it at the 1st of August anyway because of kids going back to college, so you lose your lifeguards. So then you go back to War Memorial. They are providing transportation from Lambert to War Memorial, which is good.
Well, can War Memorial handle the influx from Lambert?
Well, I think it's been full. It's been really full.
Do they have? Do the schools use Lambert for their
Yes, sir.
training for? So they're using War Memorial for that, or they go to
Yes, sir.
Shepherd, or where are they going?
They're using War Memorial. I mean, they can't hold meets there,
Yeah.
but they can do their practices and stuff there. The Planning Commission had 5 public hearings last night, and the most notable was new sheets to be built at Dry Run Road out across from the hospital.
That'll improve the traffic flow there.
Sure. And a car wash at Spring Mills Walmart, the southern entrance to Walmart, which the entrance will be on Walmart property going in, so there won't be an additional
That
entrance
vacant lot
there.
next to the Mexican restaurant?
Yes, sir, I think so.
That guy, remember when he came in about that lot a couple of years ago, taxes? I'm glad he's doing something with it.
But that's about it.
About it? Okay. I had no meetings to report on. I was actually not in the area, so Mr. Catlett is attending, is it a judicial first responders meeting right now? So he'll be coming in here in a little bit when he gets done that meeting, so. Alrighty, Mr. Good not here yet? How about, Will, you ready? We'll go ahead and start with you then. You all want to take a break already?
You expecting anybody?
I am.
Okay.
Council, so I do have three estate hearings, as you can see on your read ahead, or your agenda rather. One, the least controversial of the three has expressed that, at least the attorney has expressed a willfulness to come here and present to you, so I want to wait until that happens.
Sounds good.
Mr. Brenda, if you want, we can talk about the resolution.
For Ronnie Good. just-
Oh, Mr. Good's here.
Okay, I'm sorry.
So you're right on time. I was just a little bit ahead. So come on up and
Wonderful.
introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself we don't know.
I don't know about that. It's all good.
Okay.
First of all, Ronnie Good, live in Hedgesville. I'm a little winded coming up through there, so got a call from Matthew Umstead about maybe serving on or being looked at for serving on the museum board. I said, well, I love county history. I've been collecting it over 40 years. And grew up, born in Martinsburg, grew up in Hedgesville. And I drove a Pepsi truck 41 years. So I got to know all these small business people in the 70s. Then I watched them slowly dry up and go away. So then came my passion for collecting their history. And I got a ton of it. And so as I present things, I always mention the small town businesses. It's so important that Martinsburg has a city directory, tells you about all the people within Martinsburg. County really doesn't have that luxury. And they're disappearing, they have been disappearing. Through no fault of the county, just the fact the way Walmart's coming in and everything like that. So I'm here today. Whether you accept me or not, that's fine. I still have a passion for collecting Berkeley County history. And that's about where I'm at for considering the history part of the town. So
Alrighty.
on that, you all got any questions for me?
Well, actually, we'll start with Mr. Boyd. He'll, if he has any questions for you, he's,
Well, lifetime resident, I guess, and you say you're a big collector.
Yes, to say the least. My wife would be happy. Eventually, I'll sidetrack you just a second. I dream of having some place where my collection could feel comfortable. I was on the board of Board of Directors when Don Wood was there. After he passed away, I didn't agree with a lot of things, so kind of disappeared off of that. Adam Stevens always supported them. I never joined them. My wife has that kind of history back in the county. She could come up on 300 years, her family in this county. So with that being said, that's why I transit, and I will flip-flop on you. I will take that in my mind. Don't stay focused too long. All right, okay, I'll let you go ahead.
No, I mean, that's wonderful. I mean, we hope to, within this museum, have a wide variety of everything
Yes.
within the county, and definitely business history is important here. You know, I'm a business person. I own a few businesses here, and I'm a little the same. I collect some things myself. I probably don't have anything near what you have, but yes, that's a wonderful thing we're looking for, and that would be great. And your input and knowledge would be wonderful. So,
I had the knowledge. I knew the people, and I had the collection. My earliest document in Berkeley County is 1735, so it predates a lot of stuff. Of course, it's in German, and I can't read early German. And then comes on through there, so I have documentation. I was the buyer. I'm gonna get a little boring here, but back in the 70s, just a hillbilly digging bottles. Started finding all these unique bottles. I had on Cannon Hill. I moved Cannon Hill because that was the area dump. I tell you one thing. So I started doing that, and they say, I started going to Johnny Spicker's, CL Johnny Spicker. I learned more about the real county history on Sunday afternoons. I was 20 years old, up to about 23. You find out what really happened in this county on Sunday afternoon. Some of that stuff needs to still keep private, but it's nice to know that. I don't ever plan on publishing that. on that there. And then came Walt Kibler, then two private collectors, Wilbur Johnson, they worked at the quarry, and Danny Spitzer. I always mention those four people was instrumental in me starting collecting, because they had collected before, and as they were passing on, I knew what they had. So my wife kind of agreed to it. I bought it. So when I show up, if it's rare, it's going to be intense. But I also I try not to bid against family, but they shouldn't have let it come out in the first place. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? So I can't get more passionate about Berkeley County history. And knowing the thanks whoever bought that building, my heart is just, I just can't express the happiness I am that it's a county funded thing versus the Bell Boyd House, which is somewhat privately funded. Adam Stevens is a mainstay, but just like anybody else, nobody's getting any younger. And it's very hard. You don't see many young people on these boards or coming up in those organizations. So to have a real focal point for the Tri-County be met. Jefferson County's always took care of its history. They always sent me packing because they ain't getting nothing out of Jefferson County. Morgan County, I feel sorry for them. They bump along a good bit. They give a lot of stuff away. When that last Morgan Messenger guy up there had that paper, he collected a lot of stuff. Stuff was given away, given out of state. So because they didn't have the finances to maintain it and no place to put it. So here we go. And the Bell Boyd House, Civil War. I'm not a big Civil War fan. I've dug several thousand relics in the area, but the idea is that was horrible. And anybody glorifies the Civil War, I don't even want to talk to you. What it did to the local economy, to the local people, is just horrible. Because anybody reads it knows that's a fact. It was horrible. Then the renovation after that, and then John Quincy Adams and Nathan Bush. I mention these people's name that you don't hear about them hardly anymore, but they were big businessmen that kept this county going. Bishops, Fraser was first, then Fraser and Bishop, then John W. Bishop clear up to the 1950s. Kept business operating. This area's in a transition now. I don't know what to do with it because it's becoming a bedroom community for the city. Then again, everything with this county has always been, when the railroad came, it changed things. And I used to be a little hot when I see things go, but I realize change will happen. The only thing we can do is keep a relic of the past as a remembrance for that object. So there's several homes I went into. I like the steps. You get a vibe from the steps. Take the step out, take a picture of the house, and make a frame on it. So there's some other ideas. I like, if you're going to lose the house, when you look, I've fixed up 2 in Hedgesville, saved them. I'm the only guy in this county who saved this last one. It's very expensive, and my daughter decided to live there. So happy investment for her, you know what I'm saying to you? So but like any other area, it's changing. But we need a focal point that is going to live, not just maybe. If you give up my collection to someplace, that the Bell Boyd House was in there, Don was there, the kitchen was a flex room. Every 6 months I'd change. At the museum, you've got to be flexible. You got to have things change. After about 3 visits to looking at the same thing, you don't get them back. So it's very important to allow flexibility and having Tri-County and getting those involved. And the other thing is, with the Tri-County, can't step on toes. Where you would be brand new coming into this. Let's see what you got to offer. How are you going to protect our history if we turn it over to you? So it's going to be very important, whoever's on this board, to respect what we get and make a place for it. Now, grandma's shoes that was found in the attic, well, I don't know about that. But a letter she wrote in 1850, love to have it. And I always dreamed of like, I went to the Washington County Museum or something. And they are flexible. But I went to Bell Boyd House, showed them one day, my whole display of stuff was taken out and Green Depression where it was put in there. So it was no notice. It took me 10 years to get my stuff back. I don't really want to go too much on loan. If we're going to do this, don't like that on loan stuff. Then become responsible for it. So we kind of look at how it operates and see what kind of, I'm sure you'll establish some type of a budget for it. And then with the paper and the shape it is now, it's hard to get notices out to what's going on. Not everybody's on Facebook. There's a lot on there, but most of the time on Hedgesville, there's only maybe 10 people out of the 270s on Facebook. So how do you keep people informed what's going on? And so it's very important to reestablish a county. I'll look at your website, but it don't come up automatically. I got to go looking for it. We need something. The Journal gets it out there now. Now you're, UPS system. So the Journal was key to getting information out of what's going on, so you get people to come into it. So now they're transitioning. So the county's going to have to transition. And that ain't going to be easy. But we have some legal ads for the town, waiting on it to get published before we can go to bid. It's been in there for 3 weeks now, still not in the Journal. So you see what I'm saying? So as we face these abnormalities, which before wasn't an issue, it all relates back to how we're going to function with the county museum. Again, it's so important that we get visibility with this here, and we're sincere with what we're doing. And that's where I'm going to leave, where my perspective is, being sincere about history and caring, okay? I'll pull back.
Mr. Barnhart.
Ron, good to see you again.
Oh, I know.
It's been a while.
Yes, sir?
I get a little passion in your speech.
Oh,
there.
my gosh, buddy.
But you're right. And as the county changes and we build out, things get lost. Reiner's Shop,
Oh, yeah.
Town Spring Lunchroom,
Yes.
Poisel's, Naylor Hall. All those things are
Yeah.
disappearing. And like you said, the memory fades away.
Yes.
And we got to do something to protect them.
Yes.
Even if it's a roadside sign to say, hey, here stood Reiner's Shop, or here stood Turner's Shop, or here stood something
Right.
to let people know the history of Berkeley County.
Yes. Absolutely.
And the museum will do a lot for that. And
Yes.
I know you've got a collection of there are other collections in the county that are just as impressive as yours, and we've got to do something either to preserve them, keep them where they are, maintain them, something, and not to mention the stuff that we haven't found yet.
Prime example is the Kogel family. It's online right now.
Yeah.
There you go. They're
I've
selling
been-
500 lots at a time.
I've been in that museum that they,
Well, it ain't gonna be any more.
yeah.
It's gone. They're liquidating it, 500 items. A bill is on there a month, because I got 17 bids on that.
Yeah.
But you also gotta be careful of reproductions and copies.
That Kogel Museum was
Oh, it's beautiful. And see, he had that before I even started collecting. You're going back, late 50s, early 60s, in that period of time. So people like that keep the history
yeah.
there. But now, like I said, they're gone. My $3 don't want, no, they just dad's old stuff. I've tried everything. They just don't want to fight, but it's to the ceiling.
Yeah.
All right, and I'm not going to be beating on my collection, but it's hard to give it the energy it needs for people to appreciate it. And
Well, it's amazing what people collect to begin with.
yeah. Well, Keith up at the library allowed me to display myself last year for the 250th anniversary. So I started on Route 11 south from Big Spring, and then next was Route 11 north to Maryland line. And the third time for 3 months was at Hedgesville, Little Georgetown, Back Creek Valley, which I have a ton of stuff on that and that there. So that's what I'm saying. So everybody got this, they get to see it, but that was just a small inkling.
Oh, yeah.
That was it wasn't even an eyedropper with the stuff that I have for that stuff.
Yeah.
The idea is with the museum, you got to be able to. I always dreamed of high slide boards, make them like 4x8, 3 channels deep. Well, maybe in the spring you'll have this. Then in the fall you'll have this. Have a floating thing of different history. I've seen that in some of the museums. Hagerstown got some of that slide board deal, but you display a history up. You're done with slide it back, slide the other one out. You could create that, along with the roundhouse. But there's no unity. I'm hoping this county museum will bond everybody together, have one focal point to work through. We'll be out to everybody concerned about the history. Roundhouse does a nice job, but they're still, hands are tied. I talked to them down there the other week, had some stuff set up in there. And they're somewhat restricted because of the covenants on the property, okay? But that's still history. I mean, that bad boy is some serious economic history of this county. So, all right, I'll pull it back. I get too winded. I'll go on, move on down the line.
Anything else?
Thank you, Jim.
Eddie?
Hey, good morning, Ronnie.
Good morning.
After speaking with you, especially a couple of weeks ago, I know your passion for collection, but it's very important that this board have the ability to set up the framework of this organization
Yes.
right from the start.
Totally.
So we need people that can give and take a little bit. You know,
Yeah.
I know you're very passionate about what you do, and I don't know how much give and take you got on.
I have to.
You got to have a little wiggle room.
I will.
Okay.
Yeah, and I know I'm sometimes, anybody knows me, I'm a little bit strong-winded, but I will promise you, I'll know my place.
A little bit.
A little strong-winded. I'm very passionate about Hedgesville. It's almost tramps on Hedgesville. Well, and we kept the landfill there for 10 years. Kept it being, I got the whole rule on that there. They still got it, but not the way they wanted it. So, and the county needed it, whatever, but it's horrible on that there. But at least with the methane gas being pumped off of it, you don't have the smell in town now on that there. So if things are going to happen, but not just exactly the way they want to happen. But I will promise you, I will not step on anybody's toes. I will pull back and just see what everybody says. If they ask me for my opinion, then I will state an opinion.
Yeah, and that's what we want.
Yes.
We want to be inclusive,
Yes,
but this board early in, they got to gel.
got to find that Nick. I know you do.
For everybody, for the entire fabric of this county.
Yes, sir.
To be represented, and make it a beautiful thing.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I'm 100%, I'm not passionate here, but I can pull back on that. I will promise you I would pull back on that, and if you don't, I'll resign. If I stepped on toes on that there, trouble is I know too much. I know how things happen. And so I don't like people bragging what they're doing, but I will pull back. I'll suck it up, pull it back, and do what's best for you all in the county on that.
Well, I mean, it's for we got to just do what's right for the history.
Yes.
And be able to showcase it.
Yes.
And be proud of it, and folks walk in, that they're proud of the heritage that's here and the culture that's here.
Yes.
So.
And also for all the new people that are.
Well, that's where it's at. A lot of people don't know this. You know what I'm saying? To you coming in here, I saw it right on Facebook. They called them all kind of names of newbies. What do they call them? I don't know we can get into that, but there was names on there. I'm thinking, I was born here, but my parents weren't. So let's let people transition into being happy Berkeley Countyans.
Sure.
Or Jefferson County, and I don't know how far to.
We need to tell them about our history and
Yes.
let them be part of it.
And you'll see what they respond to on Facebook. Well, I didn't know that. Like, oh, wow, that's common knowledge. If anybody knows history, but let's take it, there's new people in here. Like the train robbery happened right out here on Route 9.
Yeah.
Right there. Last train robbery in the country.
And
Was
the
it
first-
fun? No. I don't like glorifying evil, but it's also part of your history. And that there are several instances hanging at Big Spring. I don't like it. It happened. You also got to be kind of consider how you expose that to the history of the area. Got to be careful. They're in the bootlegging in Back Creek Valley, 1922 shootout. Officer killed. All right, so not good, but it's part of history. Not many people know that. And so my friend Jim Drogmore wrote a book on it, or as far as that there. So I let him have the information. He compiled the book, and he did good with it on that there. So, I like sharing history, but biggest thing is how do we share it that we don't offend somebody?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Just because they made a high level now, but their granddaddy was a bootlegger, and there's his name in the paper. You know what I'm saying to you? So I respect that. But you have to respect the time. You have to look at the time of the history was made and what provoked it. And there's where we're at with that. Okay? Anything else, sir?
That's all I got. Thank you.
Anything? Anybody else got anything for me?
No, well, I don't. I just thank you for coming in.
Oh, no
And
problem. Whatever y'all decide, I'll still support the museum, county, whatever, but whatever y'all decide is, I'm not here to complain. I'm just here. If you need me, I'll do it. If If you don't feel I'm too strong-willed, that's fine too, but I'm gonna have to keep my will, but I'll keep it in check, okay?
That would be great.
All
Thank
right,
you so
thank you,
much.
Councilman.
Oh, I did, didn't I? All righty. We had interview, board and commission, no reappointments or no new applications received. Did, we get one in from, Mr. Trenary yet?
Yes.
It did come in? All right, we'll get him on the list to interview. Mhm. Did you bring it in? Oh, okay, he brought it in, Penny. That he did. All right. Well, we're here back at, Mr. Lawrenson again. We need a little bit of break time?
Yeah, I think this public hearing will be at this time.
Okay. We'll take a break.
I did, Jay.
Okay, we're back in session. Will Lawrenson, for the fiduciary supervisor, the estate of Mr. Bishop.
Yes, council, good morning. First, we have a series of three sequential estate hearings with the estate of Wallace K. Bishop. As I understand it, the law office of Heather and Myers is present here today and wishes to offer to this council, so I will be brief. Mr. Bishop passed away April 12th, 2023, a resident of Berkeley County, West Virginia. Less than a year earlier, Mr. Bishop signed a fully valid on its face last will and testament prepared by the office of Heather Dern Myers, witnessed by attorney Jamie Hill and Ms. Renee M. Wilby, both of whom are present here this morning. Both witnesses attested to Mr. Bishop's capacity at the time of the will signing. Mr. Bishop's will exclusively leaves all residual property to his surviving spouse, Carolyn Bishop, but nominates two family friends to serve as co-executors on Mrs. Bishop's behalf. It would appear now that only a copy is able to be found. I now invite the office of Heather Dern Myers to proffer to this council on this matter.
Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you. Heather Dern Myers, the law office of Heather Dern Myers. I am our law office is the attorneys for Wallace and his wife. They came to us a year ago to revise their estate plan. They have been using us for several years, and we executed these most recent, including the will that is before you. We always tell our clients as they walk out the door to please keep the original will in a fireproof place. We're more concerned about the original burning up because it's preferred to do informal and not have to come before you. So we always know that. So when Mr. Bishop passed away, a search was done in the normal areas that would be done, and those documents were unable to be found. Mrs. Bishop continues to come to me as her attorney, therefore I know the attorney relationship had not been broken at the time of his death. She says she knows they're in the house somewhere. I did not ask her to come today because she is 93, I believe, soon to be 94, and has some difficulty getting out and about. Obviously, she is the beneficiary. We could go through intestate, probate, however, then we would be wasting bond money. So our request is that you allow us to enter a copy of this will through formal probate proceedings so that bond would not be necessary. And the assets would pass to the wife or the document. Obviously, as they go through the house, they may find the original, and if that's done, they'll tender it to the court. I have my witnesses here that witness this document if you have any questions of them.
No question.
Good. Okay. So we'll do a motion and to accept the copy of the will.
That is correct.
Okay.
Mr. President, I move to accept a copy of the will of
Wallace K. Bishop.
Wallace K. Bishop.
Have a motion to have a second? Second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Like sign opposed, motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Just in order of time, council, I will have an order adhering to all of the issues taken before you here today, and we'll have those signed and put on public record as soon as possible. Sure. Don't see others, and I believe there's a 5-minute delay for the next offer, and it will take me at least as much to offer that in the factual background, if you wish for me to proceed.
Proceed.
Okay. Next, we have the estate of Eileen T. Seelman. Ms. Seelman passed away on October 26, 2022, a resident of Berkeley County, West Virginia. Initially, the estate was opened by a Mr. Joaquin W. Meredith. That first name is Jochen. Mr. Meredith is a son of the deceased and one of the two surviving heirs of Ms. Seelman, the other being the decedent's daughter, Tara C. Fan. As the estate was initially opened intestate without a will, and there being multiple heirs, Mr. Meredith was assessed a surety bond worth $300,000 with Travelers Casualty and Surety Company of America. Mr. Meredith fully complied with the legal timeline of the estate and filed the estate's appraisement on February 21st, 2023, listing $139,113.77 in tangible probate assets. The estate was published on March 1st, 2023, and the deadline for claims of debt against this estate was set for April 30th, 2023. No claims of debt were received by my office during this period or prior to it. On May 5th, 2023, Mr. Meredith received from my office, received an affidavit and waiver of final settlement signed and notarized by both he and his sister, Tara Fan, thereby allowing the estate to move forward and ultimately settle. However, on April 18th, Mr. Meredith, by counsel, Victoria G. Camardi of the Trump & Trump law firm in Berkeley and Morgan counties, filed a petition to probate a copy of the purported last will and testament of Eileen T. Seelman, dated May 26, 2017. This will was prepared by an attorney and is valid on its face. The copy of the will alters the would-be beneficiaries of this estate quite drastically. Specifically, it disinherits Miss Fan from taking anything under probate and splits all residual assets between Mr. Meredith, again, the administrator and son of the decedent, and a Cassandra Lee Rosenblatt, the decedent's purported ex-daughter-in-law. The copy of the will also nominates Mr. Meredith as executor and expressly revokes the need for a surety bond. To date, my office has received no written exceptions and/or objections from this petition, even though hearing notices were sent to all parties via certified mail, Ms. Fan included, on May 12, 2023, and expressly requested any such objections be submitted no later than June 8, 2023. To date, my office has received no such objection or exception.
And they received your certified?
That is correct.
Okay.
I don't see any interested party present to this council to offer or proffer any such evidence that they would like to proceed. With that, I ask this council to consider probating the copy of the will of Eileen T. Seelman in solemn form. I'm obviously happy to answer any questions you have.
Should we wait just a few more minutes?
I would wait for maybe another minute or so. And I apologize. I tried to go long form with that one to get us to the 5.
And the will is okay under all?
Aspects.
Other than it being a copy, the will is prepared by an attorney and is valid on its face. Yes.
Who prepared the will?
It's an attorney from Charleston. I do not know.
But they are still actively practicing.
That is correct. Again, to my knowledge.
Anybody have any comments or questions? Or awkward time.
It is.
Just,
Apologies.
that's okay.
Yeah, well, we're doing this properly.
Well, we can say the first one went fairly well.
Well, yes, and probates for wills in solemn form. This Miss Seelman's estate matter is not very common. Oftentimes, it's prior to any probate action being taken that you're asked to probate a copy of a will. Nothing in the law sets that in stone, but that's typically how it happens. This estate, I guess, maybe hadn't had the copy prior to this and just immediately wanted to. I also don't really understand obviously, we would need to redo the settlement because the settlement requires both heirs to sign the affidavit and waiver. This will changes who the heirs are. So we would need another affidavit and waiver from the settlement to allow for all beneficiaries to move forward. And again, I want to emphasize to this council that as I've said to Mr. Whitaker previous, that any appellate action to the circuit court, they're always open to these folks' disposal. If they have any objections, they have a venue to adhere to those objections.
Was the previous one also assigned the form?
That is correct.
How old was this lady when she changed the will?
The will is dated in May of 2017. I do not know of the age at what she was at the time of her will. But she passed away in 2022. She passed away late 2022.
So it's 5 years. Okay, I think, we're good. All righty, I need a motion to accept this copy of the will.
Yes. For the estate
State of
of
Eileen
T. Seelman in solemn form.
in solemn form.
Yes, sir. Mr. President, motion to accept the will in solemn form for the estate of Eileen Seelman.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Like sign opposed, motion carries.
Thank you.
All right.
Lastly, council, we have the estate of James Lee Robinson II. Mr. Robinson passed away intestate, again, without a will, on May 15th, 2021, a resident of Berkeley County, West Virginia, leaving behind 3 adult children. Tiffany Ann Robinson, the decedent's daughter and administratrix, was appointed on May 20th, 2021, and ultimately assessed a bond of $68,740.55. On February 17th, 2022, the administratrix filed the appraisement of the probate and non-probate assets, listing a total of $118,740.55 in probate assets, much of which is purportedly real estate, and that's mostly real estate. The deadline for filing claims of debt for this estate was set for May 1st, 2022. Prior to that deadline, an Ira Allen Siegler and a Nancy Lynn Odom, Mr. Siegler is a neighbor of the decedent. Nancy Lynn Odom, as I understand it, is a former partner of the decedent, filed claims of debt against the estate totaling nearly $25,000 in debt. As you may know, the law requires that you file proof of that debt, and it's a little vague as to what constitutes a proof of a debt. Typically, it's a receipt, it's a contract, it's something official. It doesn't have to be, as in this case. The proof of debt accompanying Ms. Odom's claim, for instance, was described as, quote, personal property never given back, unquote, and includes various pictures of the said personal property with several seemingly arbitrary notations of their values. She wrote them in. Similarly, Mr. Siegler's proof of debt accompanying his claim was solely based upon an affidavit signed by Ms. Odom, the other claimant. No contracts, receipts, checks, or any other evidence supported Mr. Siegler's claim of debt. On April 21st, 2022, the administratrix objected to both claims, and after hearing evidence from all relevant parties, Fiduciary Commissioner Susan Snowden filed her finding, found in your read-ahead, and regarding both claimants. As you can read, Mrs. Snowden called Mrs. Odom's veracity into question, seemingly implying Ms. Odom to be disingenuous at best and duplicitous at worst. As for Mr. Siegler's claim of debt against the estate, Mrs. Snowden found insufficient evidence to show that the estate owed Mr. Siegler the money he claimed, having only Ms. Odom's word to vouch for his version of events and figures cited as owed. Commissioner Snowden denied and dismissed both claims of debt and advised this council to do the same. Notices for this hearing were sent via certified mail on May 12th, 2023, requesting any and all exceptions/objections to Mrs. Snowden's finding be submitted in writing no later than June 8th, 2023. To date, neither exception nor objections have been received by my office. I now ask that this council consider adopting the Fiduciary Commissioner's finding as written regarding the estate of James Lee Robinson II.
Okay, hearing that information, we need a motion to, let's see here. Or,
Well, no, I'm just gonna say, to adopt the fiduciary commission
findings, okay. All righty, you heard the wording from our legal counsel to adopt the fiduciary's findings.
I'll make a motion to adopt the fiduciary's findings on this will.
James Lee Robinson,
James Lee Robinson,
the second.
a second.
I second it.
And we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Like sign opposed, motion carries.
Thank you,
Sir.
Counsel.
All righty. Next up, Alan Davis and the Administrator for Berkeley County Fire Service Board Resolution. We've got that in your read ahead here.
Yes, sir. As the council is aware, several months ago, we received correspondence from the Berkeley County Fire Association requesting that the council modify the fire fees to include a special rate for non-residential buildings. The rate being 7 cents per square foot of each such building as reflected by the assessor's land records of Berkeley County. After discussion with council, we did send that request to the fire board with the understanding that in accordance with West Virginia Code 7-17-12, which was effective June 10th of 2022, that it was necessary for the Fire Service Board to adopt a resolution requesting changes to the fire fee. Early last week, we did receive the requested resolution resolved the 8th day of June 2023 and attested by Donna Cross, the Secretary of the Berkeley County Fire Board, which reflects the change in the fire fee to have a single-family residential rate as well as a non-residential rate as originally requested. West Virginia Code 7-17-12, 12.2 states that if the county fair board determines an amendment in the fee imposed in subsection A of this article is necessary, it may by resolution request the county commission for such a change. Upon receipt of the resolution from the county fair board, the county commission shall, by ballot referendum, amend the ordinance imposing a fair fee and adopt the changes in the fee requested by the county fair board. All I'm saying is we have we received the requested or the required resolution. After discussing this matter with Anthony, it's your legal director's opinion as well as mine. And our recommendation to you is that we put the request for the amendment to the fair fee on the ballot, the primary ballot, early in 2024.
Okay, we do have the resolution. Do we need a motion to adopt it, to have it put on the ballot for the primary of 2024? Do I have a motion?
Are you asking?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll make,
I'm sorry. Anthony, go ahead.
Yes, you should just have a motion, put it on the ballot in primary ballot May of 2024. We'll send it over to the county clerk, then work with the Secretary of State's office to make sure that it is properly on the ballot. This is a new statute. We want to make sure that it's properly on there, and it only applies to the unincorporated areas of the county. Well, Hedgesville would still be there, but anything outside of Martinsburg. So we have to make sure that it only appears on ballots outside of this.
Who writes it? Who writes the language to appear on the ballot?
So that's what we're going to confer with the Secretary of State's office. They might provide some guidance.
The code itself provides some very simple language. I'm sure it will have to be tweaked a little bit more. It states the ballot or the ballot labels where voting machines are used shall have printed thereon substantially the following, quote, shall the county commission be permitted to amend the fair fee in Berkeley County, West Virginia for the fee amendment against the fee amendment?
Above that, there will be what the fee amendment is.
Yeah.
It won't just be, hey, we're going to put the resolution in its entirety on there. The Secretary of State's office has offered guidance for other types of ballot initiatives, say excess levy, things like that, and how they're styled. But it will just say, here's what the amendment is. Are you for it or against it?
Okay.
Essentially.
And what is the projected money that's going to be? Do you know, Hunter? What's the projected money that this is going to bring in if it passes?
Good morning.
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 If it passes, and this is best guess, based on square footages that we have right at the moment, it will be somewhere in the neighborhood of $1 million to $1.5 million.
In between $1 million and $1.5 million.
Yes, sir. Somewhere like that.
And this is only on non-residential totally.
Yes, sir. What it does is our residential customers carry the bulk of the load when it comes to the fees, as far as everything that happens. And if we have a commercial building catch fire, we're drawing every fire department we got, plus the city, plus the air guard, plus whoever else is in the neighborhood. So, when they have a call, it requires a whole lot more manpower.
My other question to Anthony is, does this just require simple majority
This is just, yeah, simple majority.
of vote? Yeah.
Does this include farm buildings and outbuildings and all that kind of stuff?
No, it's the commercial buildings, it's not agriculture, it's commercial, non-residential buildings.
On here, the single family residential, is that just what it currently is, or is that what's
Yes, sir.
proposed in the?
No, we are not touching single-family residential structures.
You ready?
Yes, sir.
So I make a motion, we accept the resolution as presented by the Berkeley County Fire Service Board and presented on the primary ballot
For
in
2024.
2024.
Okay, have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Like sign opposed, motion carries. It will be on the ballot.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
As we move forward with this, I would suggest that the council decide, you're gonna get a lot of calls, anytime there's an amendment to, fee structures. How do you wanna handle it, since this was initiated by the Fair Board and the association? You may wanna, refer all calls to them. Because it's coming at their request, just like we did with the increase or the changes in the
Water fees.
fees.
Mr. David, what about the way you're handling the subdivision regulations? Your comments on that?
Subdivision regulations are the counties.
Well, I know, but I'm just saying the way you are handling the email, things like that. Is that something that?
But this council can discuss it and we'll let you know how they decide to go forward.
Okay, I was offering.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
We do need executive session, however, I'm requesting that you recess until 11:30. It is for a personnel matter and I expect
The
we will
personnel
have
be here.
participants.
Okay, we're being break until 11:30. Okay, we're back in session. We're going to go into an executive session for personnel matters,
County council personnel, yes.
county council personnel matters.
President, I move we go in executive session for county council personnel.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Like sign opposed. Motion carries. We are in executive session. We're back in session out of executive session. Do I have a motion or is any motions to be made?
Yes, Mr. President, make a motion, we accept the recommendation for termination for Chad Thompson,
Right.
effective immediately.
Have a motion, do I have a second?
A second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Like sign opposed? Motion carries. Any other items from the public? No public? Mr. Barnhart,
Well, thank you, Mr. President. I would like to move to recess.
we are in recess.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Make our job easy.